Hello everyone, welcome to a new recorded session with teacher Shuru Ismail. Today we're gonna have a kind of practice for reading again. It's literacy 2. We're gonna have a literature passage practice for SAT. Please continue following. Okay, here questions from 1 to 10 are based on the following passage. Okay, this passage is excerpted from Jules Verne, Around the World in 80 Days. The mansion in Savile Row, though not sumptuous, was exceedingly comfortable. So here from the very beginning, we can know that this is the setting. This is the setting of this passage. Though not sumptuous, not that expensive, but it is exceedingly comfortable from the very beginning. You know that he is not very rich, or he's not that extravagantly rich. The habits of its occupant means those who live in it were such as to demand of little from the sole domestic, but Phileas Fogg. So we have here the first character introduced. First character is Phileas Fogg, or Mr. Fogg. Okay, required him to be almost superhumanly prompt and regular. These are the requirements Phileas Fogg wants from his servant to be. Okay, he wants his servant to be superhumanly prompt and regular. On this very 2nd of October, he had dismissed, important event here, dismissed James Forster. That is the second character, which is a servant. Okay, his servant. Because here, important, the luckless youth had brought him shaving water at 84 degrees Fahrenheit instead of 86. So he got him the water, okay, like 2 degrees less than he expected it to be. He was awaiting his successor. He was awaiting for the next servant, who was to the house at the house between 11 and half past. Okay, Phileas Fogg. Description here. Seated, the armchair, his feet close together, like grandeur, on parade, his hands resting on his knees, body straight, head erect, was steadily watching a complicated clock, which indicated the hours, the minutes whatsoever. So this man is so punctual. This man likes everything to be punctual, so exact. Okay. Mr. Fogg would, according to his daily habit, his daily routine, quit, like leave Savile Row, his house, and repair to the Reform. Here he's telling you that the Reform is a kind of a club in London. So he goes to the club. So here we have a description. We have here a kind of description of Mr. Phileas Fogg character. We have a kind of description of his character. Okay, let's here write it down. Description, okay, of Phileas Fogg in this second paragraph. So paragraph 2 is a kind of a characterization of this main character. Okay, wrap this moment. Okay, cozy whatsoever. James Forster, business servant appeared. The new servant. Okay, new character. So here we have a third character. A young man of 30 advanced and bowed. You are a Frenchman. Jean, please. My name is, or his name is Jean Passepartout. So that is the third character we have. The new servant. So that is the new servant. Okay? His name is Passepartout. Surname, because have a natural aptness for going out from one business into another, honest, okay, outspoken, several traits, singer, circus rider, dance on a rope. I was sergeant, fireman at Paris, tested at many times at a big fire, witted but here, important. I quoted France 5 years ago, wishing to taste the sweets of domestic life, took service as a valet here in England. He wanted a domestic life. That's why he wanted to change his career, to have a shift. Finding myself out of place, hearing of Monsieur Phileas Fogg, here our main character, was the most exact and subtle gentleman in the United Kingdom. I have come this year. All this after Passepartout described himself. He gave us his characterization. He started to tell us about his new employer. I have come to Monsieur in the hope of living with him a tranquil life. He wants a quiet life. We're getting the name of Passepartout. Okay, here we start to have Passepartout suits me and Mr. Fogg here. You are recommended to me 22 minutes after 11. That's Passepartout, drawing an enormous silver watch. You are too slow, dear Mr. Fogg said. Pardon me, monsieur, it's impossible. You are 4 minutes too slow. Here again, he's so exact about time, Mr. Fogg. Talking about Fogg. Okay, it's enough to mention the error. Now, from this moment, 29 minutes after 11, and that's the time you are in my service. Here, Mr. Phileas Fogg left, okay, the house or the mansion, and Passepartout heard it on time shot. His master went, and then James Forster, the first servant, also left the house. Let's come to the questions. Question number 1. Over the course of the passage, the main focus shifts from. So that's a rhetorical question. Let's come to the passage here. The first paragraph, we talked about the setting, and then characterization of Mr. Fogg, and then characterization of Passepartout, and okay, then he got hired. That's Passepartout, and Mr. Fogg left. Let's come to the choices that we have. Here we're gonna use, of course, process of elimination. Let's come from down to up. Opinions held by an employer to the views asserted by a potential employee. Opinions. After we read it all, we didn't find any kind of opinions here. We don't have opinions. By employer, he means by Mr. Fogg. To the views, the points of view that are asserted or emphasized by a potential employee means Passepartout. Actually, this is so wrong. It didn't happen. We didn't find Passepartout giving any kind of opinions, and we didn't get any opinions out of this. Letter C, a depiction or description of a particular place and time. Let's go back again to the passage. Okay, here at the beginning we have here kind of a description or mentioning of the place, mansion in Savile Row, and also he mentioned the time, 2nd of October. The first half here is correct. So in letter C, we have the first half here is kind of correct. Let's have a look at this. A prediction about one man's future. Here, after that, we don't shift from this to a prediction of a man's future. We started to move from this to a description of Mr. Phileas Fogg his character, description of his character. Okay, and after that, a description of Passepartout's character. Okay, so here we don't talk about the prediction about one man's future. We don't have any kind of prediction actually about a man's future. Here, a characterization of the upper classes to an exposure of problems with the social order. Characterization of the upper classes. That's too general. Why too general? Because here he's talking about the upper classes and the characterization of them and giving a description of them to an exposure of problems. We actually don't have any kinds of problems here. It's only an employer who wants a new employee. And the new employee is telling him about his life. And that's it. So no problems at all in the passage. So this makes it wrong. And actually we don't have any reference to a kind of a conflict between the classes. So therefore this is wrong. A description of one character. Okay, description of one character, which is Mr. Fogg. As we mentioned in paragraph 2 here, it's a description here of Mr. Phileas Fogg. We find that he was here, his feet close together, grandeur, resting on his knees, body straight, head erect, all this kind of description of a character, one character. Then we have a shift to an illustration of the character's interaction with another character. And then here we have the description of Passepartout, and here come to this word, responded. Responded here. Okay, so here shows us a kind of interaction. When you respond to something here, this is a kind of interaction. So here again, here we have a kind of interaction responded here. So Mr. Fogg responded to Passepartout. He responded to Passepartout, so we have a kind of interaction with Passepartout. That's another character. Okay, which makes this choice actually the right choice. This is the right one. Let's move on to question 2 here. The narrator describes the circumstances here under which James Forster was fired. Remember, he was the first servant. Okay, and actually he was fired, most likely in order to. Why is this happening? Come here. Let's here question. Let's come to the choices that we have. Here we said that, remember, in the first paragraph, he told us about it. He told us that here, Forster got the shaving water, okay, at 84 degrees Fahrenheit instead of 86. He was awaiting decision. So that's why he was dismissed. Okay, let's read the choices that he gave to me. Let's go from down to up here. Indeed, show Phileas Fogg's random acts of cruelty. Random means repeated here. And actually, this is not mentioned in the passage, that it is not mentioned that he repeated any acts. And acts of cruelty, actually, he just dismissed him. It doesn't show us any kind of cruelty. It has to do with punctuality. He's so punctual. It has to do with punctuality and his own standards. Okay, his own standards that he wants or requirements for his job, for his work. Okay, so choice D is wrong. Represent social conditions. Let's read this. Represent social conditions that Phileas Fogg perpetuates. Actually, we don't here have any highlighting for the social conditions. We're not here having anything that tells us that he's a rich man and dealing with the poor in a bad way or something like that. So that is too actually general, and it's not mentioned in the passage at all. It's not here. That's wrong. Letter B. Demonstrate the unfairness of Phileas Fogg's method. Here, unfairness, so it's called methods. So actually, we don't have many methods here. And unfairness, it doesn't have to be a kind of unfairness, it has to do with punctuality again. So here, it doesn't have to do with unfairness. Here, it has to do with punctuality, okay, and his own standards and requirements for his employee. He wants his employee to be prompt, as he mentioned. He has he wants he wants his employee to be superhumanly prompt and regular. So it doesn't have to do anything with unfairness. Let's come to A, so that shows that B is wrong. Okay, emphasize the standards. Standards that Phyllis Funk demands from his employee. So here, that's what he requires from his standards, like requirements. The requirements here that he wants, the standards here, standards like requirements that he wants from his employee, which means, okay, that it is the same because here he mentioned, as we said, prompt, superhumanly, prompt, and regular. Okay, let's come to number 3. In paragraph 2, that's a line reference question. Here you have lines from 10 to 17. The narrator characterizes Mr. Fogg as someone who. Okay, let's move to from 10 here, from here, from 10 to 17. Here, Phileas Fogg was seated squarely in his armchair, his feet close together, grandeur, resting his knees whatsoever, his head erect, steadily watching complicated clock, indicated the hours, minutes, seconds, days, and whatsoever, focusing on time. Okay, here let's read the choices that we have here. Okay, let's come to letter A. Here he wants to characterize Mr. Fogg. Letter A. Lacks friends and unwillingly spends most of his time in solitude. Let's come here to the same part that he said here. From 10 till 17, he said that he's going to quit Savile Row and move to the Reform. And the Reform is a club here in London. So it's a kind of a club. So he's not a person who is living in solitude. That's wrong. So if you say that this person lives in solitude, okay, this is wrong and lacks friends because this is not actually what was mentioned. Okay, letter B has become jaded and predictable after time spent in the military. We don't have any reference to that he was in the military because here he said here he looked close together like, you see, like. We don't have any reference that he was in the military. Here, like those of a grandeur on parade, his hands doing so and so, he said whatsoever, like. So he's giving you a kind of a description, like as a kind of giving example to how he looks like. But this here doesn't show us that he was in the military. So here, letter B is also wrong. Has high standards for both comportment and punctuality. Okay, he's focusing on time. Remember, here he was focusing on the clock that he was looking at, steadily watching a complicated clock which indicated the hours, the minutes, the seconds, whatsoever. So this is a punctual person. Okay, so most probably this is the right answer. But we're gonna read letter D. Becomes bored easily because of his lack of interest. This is not mentioned here. We don't know whether he's bored or no. We don't have any reflection about his feelings. So this is not mentioned in the passage. Let's move to question 4. As used in line 22, advanced, that is a vocabulary in context question. Vocabulary in context question. Here, let's Go to line 22, the word advanced, and let's see what it means. Here, we're gonna read starting from here. The new servant, said he, a young man of 30, advanced and bowed. So this man advanced, like moved forward and bowed to show kind of respect or courtesy. Let's come to the choices here and plug them in to see whether they can work or no. Promoted. If you say promoted and bowed, they are not working together. So actually promoted or letter A is totally wrong. Approached. Let's come here. Approach like to come closer. Okay, here approached and bowed. This one works well. So this seems to be the right answer. Okay, let's think about this one. Loaned, loaned like to take money here, like loaned and bowed if you don't work, and supported actually doesn't work. So to support and bowed, these are not working, so it's wrong. So the best answer here is approach. Come closer and bow. Show respect and courtesy. Okay, in the seventh paragraph, lines 33 to 40, the words sweets, settled, and tranquil primarily serve to. Let's come here. Here, let's come to the words that we mentioned here. The tastes of sweets. Okay, and settled and tranquil. We'll need to read this part again so we can understand what it talks about. Here, this man, Passepartout, okay, was talking about his jobs, natural aptness, so from one business to another, honest, outspoken, several traits, singer, circus rider, dance on a rope, whatsoever, make better use of my talents, and then I was surgeon and assisted many a big fire. But here to show the transition or the contradiction, I quitted France 5 years ago, wishing to taste the sweets of domestic life. Here he wants to say the sweet taste of domestic life. Took service as a valet in England, finding myself out of place, hearing that Monsieur Phileas Fogg was the most exact person, settled gentleman in the United Kingdom, and here comes the hope of living a tranquil, like a quiet life. So he's comparing that his past life, that he had to move a lot, and now he wants to make a transition or a shift to go to a quiet life. Let's go back to the choices that we have here in question 4. Okay, here. Let's read this. When we come to sweets, to settle, and tranquil, characterize Passepartout's past. Actually, these words do not characterize his past. These words characterize, these two characterize the future he wants to have. Okay, the future life he wants to have. And tranquil here has to do with Mr. Fogg. So this one is wrong. Reveal Passepartout's harsh and manipulative side. Here, harsh and manipulative sides, we don't have anything that shows us that he was a manipulative person. Okay, it was just his job to dance on a rope and things like that, but it doesn't show that he has a manipulative side. Letter C, describe Passepartout's approach to all of his career choices. Here, his approach to all of his career choices, which means that all his career choices went like that, which is wrong. Okay, describe Passepartout's ideal work environment. For him, it's the one he was trying to get. He said that, remember this but that we have, but I quitted domestic life. I quitted France wishing to taste the sweets of domestic life. He wanted the sweets of domestic life. That's why here his ideal job that he wants to work as a valet for a settled person who doesn't move a lot. So this serves as the best answer here.